certificate, you are surety, you are collateral. Your labor that you haven't even performed yet has already been guaranteed to pay for taxes. It's already gone. They've already pledged it. They've already sold it. They've already borrowed against. Your children's time is already leveraged against, because time is money. Labor itself is 4 times they're charging interest on the money. The federal treasury is a private organization. The mint charges, and then it goes to the banks, and then it goes to the government, and then it finally gets to you. It was 4 or 5 fucking times the money's been actually printed and handled and used before it gets to you. So there's all these interest penalties that are on the money before it actually goes to you to cash your paycheck. Because in the process, they're continually devaluing the dollar. And how they do that is by raising the value of gold. When they raise the value of gold, your dollar gets worth less and less and less. So when they drive up gold, the things in the store get more expensive. That's how it works. Your dollar stays the same no matter what. It's the middle point. It's a medium. It doesn't move. The gold dictates the value of the dollar. So if gold's really high, then everything in the store is going to be really high. And if gold's really low, then everything in the store is going to be really low. See how that works? Your dollar is always a dollar in the middle. It never changes. That's why, and how they've manipulated us is through that. For your grandparents, they used to be able to buy a loaf of bread for a fucking nickel. That was 80 years ago. Now today it's $5 for that same loaf of bread. That's what they did by devaluing the dollar, by increasing the value of gold. It makes everything more expensive. And by doing that, it makes you and your time worth less and less and less and less. And you have to work more and more and more and more and more to buy the same amount of crap that you could buy during the 30s. You need to understand the past. In order to understand the past, that's what they're doing. Watch. At the core, I got to shut the radio off for this. They are controlling the past, okay? And by controlling the past and what was done in the past and what you know about the past, by controlling the past, they are dictating terms to the present. They are dictating terms to the present state because they control the understanding of what happened in the past. That's how they control you. I tell you, it doesn't really matter what happened in the past. Don't worry so much about that. But understand this one thing, and you'll do a lot better. By acting neutral in the present, you dictate terms to the fucking future and control the outcome of the past. You need to control the present to control the future. And by doing that, you control the result of the past. That's why you don't judge anything. That's why you stand witness. That's why you don't feel any kind of way. Way? Is weighing to measure things? Well, yes, it is. And when you measure, you define, you judge, you use your discernment. You're playing God. And you just played God, passing words on me that way. And I don't tell you to do that. I tell you all day you've been mass mind manipulated, and I prove it. I showed you the Seal of Solomon. I showed you the fucking power triangle. I showed you the fucking flux capacitor. I showed you the inner thought wheel. I showed you every fucking form of mathematics society's told you was insolvable, and they have no idea what they're talking about. I don't know how they did those things. It's so complicated. No, it's not complicated. It's so simple that you're stupid. That's what it is. It's too simple. You've overcomplicated it, and now you just don't get it. God doesn't make things complicated. Works in layers of simplicity. Only simple people would understand it. Because they don't have a fucking ego or an opinion. And they're open-minded enough to know the truth when they hear it, what it is. That's what I tell you all day, day in and day out, right there. You don't have to feel any kind of way about anything. If your house is burning down, crying or getting angry is not going to help you in any way, shape, or form. Enjoy the show. Eat some popcorn. Make some fucking s'mores and watch it burn. What are you going to do about it? Not a fucking thing. All you can do is pick up the pieces and start over. It's a game. And you're choosing to be an emotional fish. Because that's what we've been taught to be since we were babies. And our parents and our grandparents and so on and so forth. It's mass conditioning that's been going on for some time. You don't know nothing because your teacher used to be you. And your teacher was taught by another person just like the teacher. And so on and so forth. Where did they get their information from? Whatever was approved based on whatever political party was in charge of the fucking office at the time. There you go. That's why the history books don't tell you the fucking truth about things. Because you don't need to know. That's how they think. The little people don't need to know what happened in the past. Continue to make fucking mistakes that the ancestors made over and over and over and over and over again. Continually repeat and make the same fucking mistakes so that the people that are in charge can stay in charge while we're running a fucking rat wheel, continually making the same mistakes over and over and over again because we don't remember our fucking lessons. And we have to continually start all over because we're not allowed to keep written history. Slaves aren't allowed to keep written history. Your ancestors were not allowed to keep written history. The only bit of fucking truth that you were allowed to get was through fairy tales, Aesop's fables, limericks, and musings, lullabies, secret coded messages that were handed down generation to generation in regards to the truth of this thing, an allegory. And you just don't even realize that. Let's do another drawing. Yeah, I'll take a brownie. Brownie! Woo! You're born with cannabis in your body. Your nature. Everything in nature is in you. Even if your parents didn't smoke weed, cannabinoids are still in you the day you're born. It's God's bud. It's the bud of the earth. You're supposed to clothe yourself in the bud of the earth. You can make fibers, you can make clothing, you can make rope, you can make oil, and you don't have to tear up the whole fucking planet with trees. You know, they keep cutting down trees for paper. You can make paper out of cannabis. So why the hell are we cutting down all the trees to make paper when we can continually reuse the same piece of ground over and over and over again, grow a crop of cannabis and make some paper, you know, without destroying the whole planet for some paper, stuff like that.
Trees for oxygen.
Our leaders don't think correctly at all. Your tax dollars aren't invested to take care of you. I mean, just some common sense thinking. Why aren't all our public buildings running on green energy? We all pay for these buildings and we're all paying for utilities for these buildings. Why aren't they fucking self-sufficient so we don't have to pay for them? That's called good business decisions. Right? Good business decisions. Like, here's another one. In the state of Maine, they spend $16 million every year for fucking Department of Health and Human Services just to have open buildings, one in every county. That's $16 million in taxpayer money for leasing of land. Nothing physical, nothing owned. Just the landowners are getting $16 million a year just for those buildings being on that fucking piece of land. And the state don't own those buildings. They're leasing those buildings. They lease the land and they're leasing the buildings. So the state doesn't even own any of the shit that they're fucking sitting in. They're leasing it from landowners. See what I mean? What the hell's going on? That's a lot of fucking rent. That's a lot of rent. That's just in one state. That's being done in all states. I propose that a lot of what we do in those state buildings can be done over computers and technology now. We don't need it. We don't need fucking voting booths. We got thumbprints and scanners. You can vote one thumbprint, one scanner. That keeps all the illegals out. Keeps them all out. You don't need a fucking person to count votes. It's all digital. You don't need it. It's all digital. Just it's a matter of the right people being not in charge, but code it so nobody can tamper with it. It's untamperable. A locked out vote, one thumbprint, one fucking vote. Don't need to see senators. Don't need any of that shit. They're fucking representing you. Don't need that. Have a fucking flyer, email come in. Hey, how do you feel about this? How do you feel about that? Vote on it. Everybody gets a vote. One thumbprint, one vote. Don't need any of them. Look at all the money you're saving. The cost of fucking government, out the window. You need to get rid of it. The schools aren't teaching truth. They're teaching lies. So why are you paying to have your children taught lies? You're feeding them fucking poison. It is what it is. It's exactly what it is. We don't know our own past, so we're doomed to fucking continue to make the same mistakes over and over again. The history books don't teach us the true history. That's because if you understood the true history of this place, the people in charge would not be in charge. You'd be fucking eating them. You would be eating them if you knew what they've done to the people as a whole. You'd just fucking eat them. You wouldn't even put them to work. You wouldn't put them in prison. You just fucking eat them alive because that's about what they deserve. They deserve to be ate alive with a fucking spoon. What they've done to your families, my family. They deserve to be ate alive with a fucking spoon. Every one of your family members that's died in the military because of what they told you as a narrative of what happened. Most every war we've ever been in is because of a false fucking narrative. Oh. What the hell happened there?